Hey guys, this is Bearwire with HSG.com. I'm recording a free sample video at 1020 no limit. I'm just going to try and get as much live time as possible before the game stops, if it does stop. I think that, well, let me talk about this hand real quick. So I'm going to lead the river here because he should never really have an 8 here. And he checked behind the flop, so he should never really have a 10 either. So I don't really think he's going to bet all that often when check 2. And there's going to be some hands that I would potentially want to bluff with here. Namely deuces, 3s, 4s, 5s, 6s, and 7s. So, I think it just makes sense for me to lead polarized range. And, you know, if I had like pocket 6s here, I'd want him to fold some bluff. And if I have a boat here, I just want him to call with like ace high, or maybe pocket 9s, like jack deuce if you check the flop, something like that. I think all those hands are going to check if I check to him. And he does pay me off with a jack, yeah. So I think a jack would check that river if I check to him. So I think it makes a lot of sense for my range to lead. But anyways, so since Stars has switched to King of the Hill for 1020 and higher, there's occasionally some one-tabling action between basically just, you know, regs fighting for their position at the tables in the lobby. I've actually already got a 1020 table. I don't know if he notices this or if that's even relevant, but yeah, maybe it is. Let's see. Yeah, so I don't think I'm going to get a game here, but I'll pause the video and try and come back with a new one. Alright, so it took a little bit of searching, but I asked a few of the better regs at 1020 if they'd be willing to play for this video, and TC from UB was kind enough to oblige. I played some with him. You can see I have a 2000 hand sample, but it's not entirely recent. So I'm not going to be using these stats like religiously or anything. Like I don't think his fold to. I mean, I just don't think they're right at all. So I'm pretty much just going to ignore them. It's 8-4 off. Is one of the worst hands I'll open, but I will not see bet on this flop. I just don't think it's strong enough that I want to be c-betting. And definitely on an ace turn, I think that we're basically going to actually have top pair often enough that I think it's a very good situation to add some bluffs into our range. Ace king high, I usually just want to show this down, unless maybe if I had a big club I might bet, just because it's going to give me some outs and also some nutted hands when backdoor clubs start coming. So here, like, my range has a lot of weak pairs in it. Deuce X. Deuce X will probably fold the turn usually, but 4X, like pocket 5s, 6s, 7s. I can't really have Queen Jack or 9-7. So this is a river card that's just like disproportionately good for big blind and pretty bad for me. So there's not a whole lot I can do here. If I have a club, I could consider raising. And if I have a if I had, well, yeah. Pretty much like certain hands I'm just going to end up calling there. Like reasonably strong pairs or pairs with clubs. And otherwise I'm just going to be forced to fold a lot on that run out because his range gets a lot stronger than mine. And I'm assuming that he's going to be value betting quite a bit of hands that are stronger than my bluff catchers. So I'm only really happy about calling with like my river to turn 2 pairs and river to turn sets and whatever flushes that I trapped and got there with. So this is a board he's going to be very aggressive on this board, and it's sort of tough for me to navigate. Generally speaking, I think that just with like a queen, no kicker, like no gut shot, no flush draw, I think I should just be folding this part of my range. Generally, like just because it's a king queen X flop, I'm gonna be folding the flop a little bit tighter. So like I probably fold a lot of my deuce X hands straight away on the flop, and something like queen jack or 10 jack, king 9, like those hands I'm probably just gonna call and maybe even just call down. But with the hand that I had, I think that it's best to just fold the turn, because he's got a substantially stronger range when I don't 3-bet pre, and the board comes Broadway. So it's good for him, and it makes a lot of sense for him to have like a high betting frequency, large sizing, and it's going to put me in a lot of tough spots. So you'll note that I'm going to agree with a lot of the plays that well, there's nothing I can really do with this hand. This is like it's one of the worst hands I'm ever gonna try and bluff with. I don't think that like the two of us are gonna like differ so dramatically in our approach that I'm gonna like strategically disagree with a whole lot. Whereas like the majority of the people who like had I not been specifically seeking this match for this video, I think that this is probably just going to be a bluff. Yeah. I think that he expects me to play pretty much all my kings this way. And yeah, that's annoying. There's not a whole lot I should do with this hand. Reason being is that like me having 2 undercards, it's very unlikely he also has 2 undercards. I'm kind of just trying to get him to fold like a 10 on the river there, and the thing is that because my kings have showdown value, he should probably expect me to play the majority of them the way that I did, just by checking the turn and then leading the river. And like by leading the river, I'm able to sort of put his hands in, like put his 1-pair hands that we're trying to show down in a tougher spot. So this is a pretty nice situation to be in. This is a good turn for his range. So that means that, well, basically I don't want to size too big, and I don't want to value bet too thin either. Like my frequencies are going to be somewhat low in this spot. So the cool thing about he can have every good straight here, and it's possible he's going to consider leading, just because I don't have like a huge number of 5s in my range once I see what this flop. Yeah, so he does consider leading. So this is a rare but ideal situation, I guess. The thing is here, It's sort of tough for me to have. It's sort of tough for me to create a bluffing range. Because I can't really have like pocket nines, pocket tens, which would be ideal. But I can't have a 9 in my hand, which would be the best hand to bluff with. So if I had like something with a 9 that didn't have clubs, I'd consider bluff shoving here. And for that reason, wow. So that's a gross cooler. His lead makes a lot of sense. Reason being is that, like I was starting to get at, and I'll just bring it up just quickly here. On this board texture on the flop, hands like Queen 5 or King 5 or 5 Deuce or whatever are not necessarily gonna see bet. Whereas like his check calling range on the turn includes like Ace 5, 8 5, 9 5, obviously King 5. A lot of hands that that are in his range make a straight on the river, and a lot of hands that I was value betting on the turn, like just Ace King and 2 pairs and sets and stuff, are all very likely to check behind. So it's a river card that is in his favor, and it makes a lot of sense for him to decide to lead. And if he's going to lead with just a 5, he also has to lead with his nutted straights. So I think like facing a shove, he'll just call when he has 9-5, and when he has it's an interesting overbet when he has 9-5 and when he has 10-9 as well. So on this hand, he pots the turn, basically just trying to represent a jack, and when he pots this river, I don't think I need to call this hand, and I don't really know why I'm thinking about it. The thing is that the thing I don't like necessarily about his play here is that I would play King 9 this way, and he can't really have Ace King because Ace King would never bet this turn. So he's kind of like he's overbetting, presumably with a range that includes like just some naked Jack X hands like Ace Jack, King Jack, maybe Jack 9, Jack 8. And expecting me to hero call with a queen or something, which is totally reasonable. But I guess my concern is that I'm actually going to have some traps like pocket 4s, Queen Jack, Jack 10, which he can have pocket queens as well, so it's not like he's never nutted here, but so this is a good spot to overbet. So I like to overbet on the Broadway boards because it's a turn card that let me think. Yeah, I've got to bluff this hand. He'll potentially have some smaller flushes here, some ace flushes as well. But essentially I have a hand that's very good to bluff on this run out. I block straights and I block big flushes. And it's a board where a lot of my perceived bluffing range on the turn is flush draws, so when I get here with a flush, I would also want to shove. When I get here with 3-5, I would also want to shove. Ace King, Ace 4 even. Because if he has the Ace of Hearts, he's going to be sort of inclined to hero call because I can't have the nut flush and things of that nature. Basically, like, he just calls it Ace 5. That's probably fine. I don't. So I'm just going to talk about that hand. Basically, I'm going to finish playing an even number of hands, and then I'm going to talk about that hand to wrap up the video. Let me see. So he's certainly going to be inclined to basically, like I was trying to get at, like call with blocker hands like this. The Five of Hearts is actually a pretty good blocker for him to have because I don't think I want to bluff with this hand. It's a pretty good blocker for him to have because he blocks my five high flush draws, which are likely to overbet the turn, and also my let me just quit this real quick and I'll continue. Okay, so the reason that like I would expect him to call hands like this more often than hands like I don't know, ace nine with no heart, and I think the reasoning should be fairly obvious. Like when I choose the sizing plan that I chose, which I'm pretty happy about on boards like this, I think that he's going to interpret my value range to be sort of specific and like sort of easy to predict. Just all the strongest hands. Like I would never have ace jack offsuit, for example, and there's like a fairly good reason for that. So he'll decide to call with hands like this rather than like I said, something like ace nine with no heart. And it's completely logical to do so against my range. I don't know that it's necessarily a winning call because I'm very confident that I would play like pretty much every flush this way. Ace king, pocket fours, and 3-5, which is actually like it's a lot of combos. So all in all, like it would take a more in-depth analysis on a program like Cardrunner ZV or Flopzilla or what have you to evaluate exactly what range I'm going to fire here with. But basically, the bet sizing is the most interesting part of this hand, and I wanted to sort of explain in some detail the importance of both my blockers when deciding to bluff and his blockers when deciding to make a light call. So, hope you enjoyed the video, and good luck with the tables.